What is up, guys? So 2 new casting calls have been released for the Arrowverse crossover, and both of them are of characters that seem pretty interesting. Now, both of them have names that are not their real names, because some casting calls that do this thing where they don't release the real name of the casting of the character because they don't want to spoil who they're casting, and those 2 names right here are Lionel and Dr. Elias Kern. So in this video, what I'm going to do is break down the character breakdowns or character descriptions, casting calls, as well as after that tell you guys who I think these characters are. So just to let you guys know already, I think Lionel is probably not going to be a Kryptonian. I think that he's definitely connected maybe to Supergirl and Superman, but I don't think he's going to be Kryptonian, because really the only Kryptonian they can use that is in the House of El is Jor-El, and I do not think he's going to appear in this or any episode of the Arrowverse. I don't think he's going to come back to life. He is a major player in a couple stories in the New 52 and Rebirth, but I don't think they're going to use Jor-El in this crossover. I do think he's going to be, obviously, from the character description, I'm going to go over it in a little bit, he is an alien, so I think that he might, and it says that, I'm going to go over this, but I think he might be the main villain of this crossover. But then the second villain, I think, will definitely be a recurring character on Batwoman, and I think he will be a Batman villain, and I'm going to go over who I think these characters will be in this video. So let's begin with Lionel. So Lionel's casting call is maybe the most interesting casting call I've ever seen from the Arrowverse, from this season at least. His casting call plus additional information we know about him, it's really interesting. Now, I do think this is probably the main villain of the crossover, but it might not be because of other things we know about him. But like I said, this is a really interesting character from what we know so far. So the character description reads, or the casting call rather reads, male of any ethnicity in his 40s with the potential to play older than their actual age. Visitor from another planet, Lionel is both ambitious, instructable, and has the power that is nearly infinite. Additional things we know about him is this: expect to see Superman have many lines with this character. His dialogue shows him to be very smart. He is the smartest one in the room, and he knows it. His knowledge of the multiverse is vast and spans more than the known 53 universes. Because of this fact, we are maybe thinking this character is a Monitor. Now, if you don't know, the Monitors are these cosmic DC Universe characters. The Anti-Monitor was the main villain of Crisis on Infinite Earths, the comic book event back in the 80s, I think. And I actually agree with this. I do think this might be a Monitor. I do think that the Anti-Monitor has the potential to be the main villain of this crossover, which in my opinion it would be like the ultimate villain for the Arrowverse. I think that the DCU's ultimate villain would be Darkseid, but the Arrowverse's ultimate villain should be the Anti-Monitor because of his connections to like the Flash, and both the Flash and Supergirl, spoiler alert, they have huge parts in Crisis on Infinite Earths where they both die in that crossover event. So it's possible that they might be doing something similar here with the Anti-Monitor. Now, the Anti-Monitor would be a very interesting character, but more additional things that we know about him might say that he might not be the main villain of this crossover. He might not even be a villain. The thing is that he is going to maybe appear in additional episodes after the crossover of Arrow, the Flash, Supergirl, as well as Legends of Tomorrow, in most of them being cameos, which is so interesting. No other character has done that before, where after he's appeared in a crossover, and then after that has additionally appeared in every single show with cameos. It feels like he would be like floating around the universe and the multiverse into every other show. Now, the reason then that makes me think that he might not be Anti-Monitor, he might not be a villain at all. He has the power that is nearly infinite, like I said in the casting call, which definitely makes you think a main villain for a big team of superheroes to fight. But I think he might not actually be a villain at all. I think it's possible that he is the character known as Metron, just because I think this casting call and everything we know about this character very perfectly fits this character known as Metron. So what he is that he's basically like a passive observer in the multiverse, and he just goes around watching things. I saw him in the Justice League Unlimited TV show, and he was a very interesting character. He didn't do much, but he was very interesting. Other things of note, that he has the power of a god, which definitely would fit. Has the power that is nearly infinite. Other things is that he is incredibly smart, and his knowledge of the multiverse is vast, just like I said here in the casting call, or right after the casting call. So I think this casting call and everything we've heard after that really fits the character of Metron. Also, the fact that he might be appearing afterwards in cameos in Arrow, the Flash, Supergirl, Legend of Tomorrow in this season, it makes me think of a character that is just observing from the side, maybe leading to something else next season in the Arrowverse if all 4 shows, or maybe at least 3 of the shows, get more seasons afterwards. I think this character of Metron perfectly fits everything we know about this character. This character might also be the Monitor, the Anti-Monitor. It could be Jor-El, but I highly doubt it. it's possible that it's Brainiac, considering he is the smartest person in the room, like it says here, and it says to expect to see Superman have many lines with this character. I don't know if that's a confirmation. It might just be saying that because his name is Lon-El. I don't really know, but I think that this character, if I had to guess, I would say Metron, which, by the way, if it is Metron, that would 100% open up the door to things like the New Gods, New Genesis, and Apocalypse, which would obviously open up the door to Darkseid, maybe being the main villain of the next crossover, which would be incredibly interesting. Now, I don't think Darkseid ever will appear in the Arrowverse, but if this is Metron, it definitely opens up the door for that to happen, and I think that that would be pretty cool as well. For those of you wondering, the reason I don't think Lon-El is a character specifically from Krypton, where I don't think he's going to be a Kryptonian, is, for one, the name El isn't exactly exclusive to Krypton in the Arrowverse. There's characters like Mon-El, who is not from Krypton. He is from Daxon, which is right next to Krypton, but still, the name El isn't exclusive to Krypton, so the name Lon-El, the fake name of Lon-El, doesn't specifically mean that this is a Kryptonian, and I don't think there are no Kryptonians that can really use that would be interesting to me. Jor-El, I don't really think they should use him because he's dead, and I don't really want to see him back. I'd rather see new characters like the Anti-Monitor, the Monitor, or Metron, because those would open up the door to other things like the New Gods and other things like that. So I don't think he's going to be a Kryptonian. I don't want him to be a Kryptonian because I don't think there would be much to do with Kryptonians. There's one Kryptonian that they can use, which is General Zod, but he has appeared in the Arrowverse already, and he was cast and he was killed in off screen by Superman. So I don't think it could be Zod either. Really, my one guess is Metron. My second guess would be the Anti-Monitor / the Monitor, which they're basically like enemies of each other. And then from then on, maybe Brainiac, maybe Jor-El, but I don't think it's going to be Jor-El. I don't think it's going to be a Kryptonian. But honestly, at this point, there's absolutely no way of knowing who this character is right now. There's just speculation. There's just theorizing about who it is, and I already did that. My best guess, like I said, will be Metron. Now, I did say earlier in this video that I think this will be the main villain, and I do retract that statement at least a little bit because I don't think Metron would be a villain at all. But if it is a Metron and it is the Anti-Monitor, then that would probably definitely be the main villain of this crossover, which would be pretty epic. So moving on to the second character, who goes by the name of Dr. Elias Kern. Dr. Elias Kern's character description or casting call reads, open ethnicity in his 30s, male, a psychiatrist with his own mental health problems. Dr. Kern is a brutal sociopath who appears to be starting to lose his grip on reality. Additional things we know about him is this: in his story, his wife Sarah will leave him, which will start his decline into madness. She tells him that he is too dark of a person to stay with. So this crossover is taking place in Gotham City and leading to a Batwoman TV show, which makes me think that this character, Dr. Elias Kern, will be a Batman or Batwoman maybe villain, but I only will look at Batman villain because Batwoman doesn't really have any villains. Batman has a crazy amount of villains, and you would be surprised about how many of them are doctors. This one is a psychiatrist. Really, there are not a lot of characters that are psychiatrists in the Batman Rogues Gallery. There's Harley Quinn, who this is obviously not Harley Quinn. It's a male, and I think this character might actually be Scarecrow, aka Jonathan Crane, which would be very interesting. In the comics, he is a psychiatrist, so that would fit the bill here. He is other things as well, so maybe it's not him. Like, they didn't mention the fact that he has the ability to create the toxin, which he would be like a chemist, I think. But Scarecrow, this is possibly Scarecrow. I think that would be incredibly interesting for this to be Scarecrow, for Scarecrow to actually appear in the crossover. I do think that some Batman villains will be appearing in this crossover, and I obviously think that some Batman villains will be appearing on Batwoman, and I think that's very possible. But this crossover has to definitely feature some Batman villains, considering this is in Gotham City, considering this is a sociopath psychiatrist. I think Scarecrow is probably maybe not probably, but that would be my best guess for who this might be. Some people were speculating that it could be Dr. Polaris, but I don't think it is, solely for the fact that I think they might be saving him for Black Lightning, just because he is a Black Lightning villain. I think he would be a pretty interesting main villain for Black Lightning, and I think it could be Dr. Polaris, but I don't think it should be. It could be Hugo Strange. It could be other characters like that, but my best guess would be Scarecrow, and that would obviously be incredibly interesting to see. So the two characters we have for my best guesses are Metron and Scarecrow, and I could already see neither of them being neither of these characters, but I think it is slightly possible for them to be Metron and Scarecrow, and those are the characters that I think fit the best, fit these character descriptions or these casting calls the best. So like I said, these characters are incredibly interesting characters to me. One of them is Lionel, might be the main villain, might be just Metron, who is just watching the whole thing. I think that fits him really well, but either way, he's gonna cameo in all 4 shows after this, so it's incredibly interesting as to who this character is. Dr. Elias Kern, in my opinion, could be a Batman villain, which obviously would be so interesting. So let me know who you guys think these characters are. Do you think that Lionel is a Kryptonian? Do you think Dr. Elias Kern is actually a Batman villain? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.